Hello and good evening and welcome to our second edition of UBC News Tonight. It is the 28th day of August 2021. Before we start off our our bulletin, let's first take a look at tonight's headlines. And in tonight's headlines, 23 people massacred in Masaka in 1 month. Former Tanzanian President Kikwete visits Agaliawamu in Zimbabwe. We also have Bethel Church in Nebi accommodates only 3 people at a time. And in sports, Emong wins a bronze medals men's 1,500 meters in Paralympics. Good evening once again and welcome to UBC News Tonight on this 28th day of August 2021. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto and Mugalu Mohammed on sign language. Now we start off with our first headlining story this evening. The former Tanzanian President Kikwete has visited Alliance for a Green Revolution in Uganda, where he is a board member to monitor whether grass objectives are being implemented. Kikwete commended farmers for transforming agriculture in Uganda, especially in packaging, and vowed to support them technically. He was visiting Zimbabwe Agaliawamu Agri-Business Training Association in Zimbabwe.
Former President of the Republic of Tanganyika has today inspected works of farmers under the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Zimbabwe to ascertain whether the trainings offered have yielded. The board members of Alliance for a Green Revolution include the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Haile Mariam, as the chairperson, Jakaya Kikwete, and Honorable Zisu, the former Prime Minister of Benin.
So, of course, we meet with the heads of states of the respective partner countries, yes, to talk to them, to get their impression of the progress that is being made in transformation of agriculture, the challenges that they are facing, and to see how Agra is part and parcel of the efforts to get solutions to the teething problems of transforming agriculture in their respective countries. But we also meet partners, because when we call partners, it's just like the ZAPTA, the Kilimo Initiative, and the Kilimo Trust, and a number of these stakeholders.
Kikwete says they have interacted with partners supporting AGRA to help them on a technical level. AGRA has trained scientists at the PhD and master's level to become seed breeders, soil scientists, so as to advertise the kind of fertilizers to be used on particular kinds of soils.
And out of those 600 scientists, 54 are in Uganda, 20 PhDs and 34 masters. And the 54 in Uganda are working with the National Agricultural Research Organization in seed breeding, in soil science. So that's why we're saying that they have been able to invent or to come up with 59 varieties of seeds.
He says farmers in Uganda have also started blending fertilizers which are being used for maize, rice and soybeans, and have proved to be effective, hence fast improvement in agricultural products.
Is that they are now exporting to Kenya, and they are exporting high quality. You know, we have had these problems of maize, having problems of aflatoxin, but the maize from Zimbabwe doesn't have that problem, because it is now being done properly. They make sure that it's dried properly, it's taken proper care of, and when they export high quality food. And the other thing which has impressed me, which I really commend them, is that they've been able to economize on transport. They say the trucks that are going to southern Sudan, after coming back from southern Sudan or from the neighboring countries taking goods, when they return to Kenya, these are the trucks they use to transport the goods produced by the several cooperatives in Uganda to transport the goods to Kenya.
Representing the Ministry of Agriculture, Honorable Fred Wino Chakulaga thanked AGRA for building capacity of the private sector in terms of trade, processing, bulking and branding, among others. He thanked AGRA Uganda for the support towards the development of the agriculture sector, specifically on production and productivity, post-harvest handling, among others.
AGRA Uganda has positively impacted over 1.5 million smallholder farmers, most especially through increasing employment opportunities in the agriculture sector, mostly to the youth and women, and support to the provision of quality agricultural inputs, provision of technologies, provision of affordable agricultural financing, and increasing access to markets.
Dr. Birungi Korutaro, a partner with AGRA, says they are still grappling with challenges in agriculture, thus they need to be addressed.
And our recent events where our maize was rejected in Kenya because of aflatoxin was a major impediment to our efforts. So issues of food safety need to be addressed even more. We have started on that, but a lot more needs to be supported in that area.
Government, in partnership with AGRA Uganda, has given opportunity for alignment, harmonization and harnessing complementary synergies to change the face of agriculture in Uganda. Sudat Kaye, UBC.
Thank you, Sudat Kaye. Now, the Chief of Defense Forces, General Wilson Mbadi, has tasked Somalia-bound UPDF contingent to be good ambassadors while conducting their peace mission in Somalia. The CDF was flagging off Battle Group 33 heading to Somalia at an event held at a single military school in Nakaseke district.
After 9 months of vigorous training at Single Military School in Nakaseke district, UPDF's Battle Group 33 is Somalia bound.
Kukua kwamba ndio mimi nakuja kuflag nyinyi off ili muweze kwenda kufanya kazi. Asante sana.
The contingent comprises 1,846 men and women who have acquired skills in humanitarian convoy escort, counter-offensive, civil military cooperation, among others.
Kuja kuzungumzia na nyinyi kuhusu kusonga wapi? Tusonge mpaka Somalia. Iyo leo tenisi ya sazore.
The Chief of Defense Forces, General Wilson Mbadi, however, challenges the contingent to raise the army and country's flag high through good conduct and professionalism.
Adui akija, tupo tayari. Akija, sisi tupo tayari. So, kwa hivyo, munapokwenda kule, munafaa kukuwa maambasada wazuri, muwe wabalozi wazuri, kila mtu nyinyi hapa. Maana yake hiyo sehemu ambayo tumeenda ni sehemu moja ambayo tumeemploy maambassadors wengi kwa ukweli. Kila nchi inafaa kuwa na ambassador hii, lakini wewe ona wenye tunatuma kwa nchi moja sasa sahi.
But he also warned soldiers about connivance and sabotaging mission objectives.
Whether you are doing something which is legally correct, whether you are doing something which is morally, sio unafaa kujiuliza hata wenzangu watafikiria nini nikifanya hii. Kuuza risasi. Waliorogwa hawawezi kukosa hapa. Wengine wako hapa watauza na shababu risasi hapa. Wako kwa sababu tuliwahi kukamata wengine. Sijui inakuwa haja ya nini, ya pesa gani hiyo ya kuenda kuuza risasi. Ile risasi ikuje kupige wewe. Sisi nimekupatia risasi ndio hii kuja piga mimi. Wewe si azimu. Wako wewe kesi tapatikana hapa.
Major Bilal Katamba is the contingent spokesperson in Somalia.
The training has been good. We are sure that the training we received is good enough to enable us perform and execute the task that is ahead of us. We've been fortunate that we've had other senior army officers who've been in Somalia. They've come here, they've interacted with us, they have told us the situation in Somalia, so we are ready for the task.
This was at an event held at Single Meter School in Nakaseke district.
So it's worth noting that this time, though we have our training partners, but 95% of the training was handled by the UPDF instructors.
The contingent is flying to Somalia mid-next month in a phased manner. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Now, Uganda has one of the smallest churches in the world located in Nebi district. Now, Bethel Church is believed to be the smallest church in the world, and it signifies that Jesus came as a humble man. Take a look.
Located on Beku Hill, about 18 kilometers from Nebi town, West Nile sub-region, Bethel Church is probably the smallest church in the world. Bethel Church is about 2.5 feet wide and 8 feet high. The small worshipping place accommodates only 3 people, including the priest.
It holds 3 people, 1 pastor and the other 2 people. And when you are here for your personal prayer, you can even pray for your neighbors, your families and neighbors.
Around this church are 9 prayer points which allow to pray, praise, and meditate on the word of God. Its history dates back to 1996 when a Korean nation pastor song and the retired Archbishop of Church of Uganda, Henry Colombi, established this astonishing church.
We render the devil powerless and we take the devil as a captive. And Master, we pray that you help us. Help us, save us from COVID-19. There is, Lord, a variant from India. Save us, Lord.
Bethel Church has 12 windows at its entrance, demonstrating the 12 stones on Aaron's breastplate, which is the 12 tribes of all the saints.
These 12 windows remind us of 12 tribes of Israel.
And this is really reminds me of Jesus' ministry. He never did anything before going to pray. And he used to go to the mountains even before there was transfiguration. He went with John, with Peter and James.
The ceiling contains 7 beams demonstrating the 7 rainbow colors, which demonstrates God's covenant never to destroy the world with floods again. The eastern window offers sights of cross positioned on the highest peak at point 2, a view that gives the Christians an opportunity always to look up to Jesus.
I want to appreciate those who had a vision of putting this place here, and also right from inside we saw up the message from Hebrew chapter 12, fixing our eyes on Jesus who cares.
The midpoint is meant for spiritual healing for persons and church groups, whereby people who visit the site encounter God in a special way, have vision for their future, and become bold soldiers for the gospel.
This very place here, the smallest church, the message is about family. Emphasis, and it's very true, because family is under attack. The church is under attack through the family. When we see that people are advocating for same-sex marriage, the so-called marriage, homosexuality, lesbianism, that is an attack, direct attack on the family.
What is amazing about this structure is that regardless of its size, it was constructed using stones, wood, and 79 bags of cement. Is expected to last for 500 years without its foundation structure getting destroyed. Haruna Mutesasira, UBC.
Well, a sight to see and also a place to spend some ample time with God. Now moving on, the High Court in Arua has reinstated an election petition against Terego East County Member of Parliament Mario Obiga Kania. Kania, who is also the State Minister of Lands, Housing and Urban Development in charge of lands, together with the Electoral Commission, were petitioned by Apama Amato Borowa of Alliance for Transformation, who contested in the previous election on grounds that Kania was not legally nominated. Take a look.
Court will resume hearing of a case in which the Minister of State for Urban Development has been sued by Apama Amato Borowa over what he calls unsuitability for nomination. This is after Apama Amato Borowa's lawyer requested court to allow him submit more affidavits, a request that has been granted by court. Kania's lawyer, Ivan Abiyo from Ederu and Gama Advocates, stressed that the petitioner should have verified academic papers of his client before filing the case against him.
Grievances were not sufficiently explained and they amount to an illegality. And my lord, based on the previous authorities, that is something that should have been done before filing the petition. It's not something to respond to in a supplemental.
The presiding judge, Justice Boniface Wamala, said the lockdown affected movement in the country, a factor that also affected court processes.
Therefore, the first respondent has satisfied the court that the merits he merits exercise of the court's discretion to permit and validate the 5 supplementary affidavits filed on the 12th of August 2021. By accordingly grant such leave and validate the said affidavits.
Meanwhile, Nebi Municipality MP Sulaiman Hassim retained his seat after court dismissed a petition filed by his former contestant, Robert Onega of FDC, with half costs to be paid to Sulaiman and the Electoral Commission. Robert Onega dragged Sulaiman Hassim of National Resistance Movement to court on allegation that Sulaiman did not have minimum academic qualification to stand as a member of parliament. Joseph Odama compiled this story for UBC.
All right, now Chigezi region leaders are anxiously waiting for the actual rollout of Chisoro Regional Industrial Park and John Kale Institute of Science and Technology to boost development in the region. Now, Kisoro District Chairperson Abel Bizimana, who is a member of the regional's Strategic Development Initiative, says the project will give youth jobs and act as a market for their produce.
And jobs are going to be available. We are going to have industrial park start, as you heard.
Southwestern Uganda is largely known for being a food basket and a tourism attraction hub for the country, but little is known about its ability to add value to the abundant resources sandwiched in the region.
We are going to enhance job creation. We are going to enhance value addition to our processed goods. You know, we are in agribusiness under operation waste creation. We are going to process our minerals from the mines we have. We are going to have a better advantage.
However, this has in a way deprived the population, who get little out of the hard work, leaving middlemen to enjoy and thrive on their sweat by dictating prices for their produce while making abnormal profits. So District Chairperson Abel Bizimana says residents had begun to feel jittery about this situation and imbalance that government is now addressing through setting up of industrial hubs and high institutions of learning.
On their behalf and on behalf of me as the District Chairperson, I officially hand over you for purposes of development and industry 620 acres of land on Chibaya in Mukundu Town Council for establishing a regional Kigezi industry for developing.
Bizimana says the recent launch of industrial parks with the regional one in Kisoro district that is meant to become an industrial hub for the entire southwestern Uganda and a link to neighboring countries like Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo is a boost for equitable development.
So this is not a Kisoro agenda, and it is not Kigezi agenda. It is Southwestern Regional Development Strategic Agenda, Ankore and Kigezi. So soon, we are going to even start sitting and creating flagships of projects so that we should start.
So this is a strategic location for the region. It's a strategic location for our country. And we should really congratulate the leadership of Soro for giving us this important piece of land.
Abel Bizimana is also happy that President Yoweri Museveni recently penned an order directing technocrats to fast-track the start of the John Kalekahura Institute of Science and Technology, a beacon of hope for the development of the area.
The John Kalekahura Institute of Science and Technology, we want to make it a center of Pan-Africanism in Africa. And there are very many people who are willing to come and support us. The project is not just another technical school. I want Ugandans to know this is a national and international institute. We are not building another small institute of the constituency. We are nationalizing and internationalizing this institute according to the essence. And my president wrote a very good letter to that effect.
Though it is not yet clear when the industrial park and John Kalekahura Institute of Science and Technology will kickstart, the region's leaders are confident that the government is on the right side of Kisoro and region's development.
That is the assurance we have that they are going to go to cabinet, pass the issue, take the matter to parliament, get the money assigned, and as soon as we get the money, because we cannot say industries are coming tomorrow without first developing the place.
And along with these two projects, meant to awaken the region's sleeping giant, the downtrodden like the Batra, who have had to endure generational injustices, prejudices, and isolation, are being helped to participate in this socio-economic boom.
Concentrated in Kigezi, especially in Rwanda, they are around Karenjeri, Butanda, in Kanungu. They had even started becoming a tourism attraction. Actually, some people had started taking them as a second class of gorillas. Beings, a minority with dignity, and once they look good, we want the battle to be like those of Congo, those of Rwanda who have been settled. We have Aborigines in Australia who are supported by their countries, and the matter of Batwa has been settled once and for all in Uganda books of law.
All of this comes at a time when leaders have adopted a conciliatory tone in preparation for this landmark leap forward stage that signifies prosperity for all.
Because the case, the way it was going, was in my favor. But also Milton, brother, says, let's come off. We are embarrassing ourselves. We are all brothers, Bafumbira. Let's leave this stage. It is also welcome. But I thank
Haimana Deo, reporting for UBC News.
Now, police and other security forces have deployed heavily in Masaka following continued murders of residents. Now, suspected machete-wielding thugs have hacked 2 people in Masaka sub-region. The number of those killed runs up to 23 since the murders started. The head of security in Masaka, Fred Bamwine, says so far 38 suspected gang members with key suspects in the murders are already nabbed and the hunt is still on. Bamwine says they have provided free toll lines in every sub-county for timely calls to security. At least 250 leaders have also been mobilized to coordinate the hunt for the criminals and mobilizing residents in case of an attack. The main area is Kabonero area. President Yoweri Museveni has given 10 million Uganda shillings as a contribution to reach families that have lost a person. The area RDC Fred Bamwine is advising communities in Masaka to report anyone suspicious, make an alarm in case of any attack, and advise the population to be cooperative. Bamwine says they have capacity to respond in less than 10 minutes in case of any alarm.
Embeera ebeerawo olubeerera bagamba mbu ennaku z'omubbi zibeera ozimeka ana. So ekyensuubiza batuuze embeera eno ejja kuvaawo lwa nsonga.
On Friday. All right, now shortly we will be having the RDC of Masaka, Fred Bamwene, on Zoom, and he will be giving us updates on what's going on in the area of Masaka. So keep it tuned to UBC News Tonight. Now, moving on, mothers of children with disabilities in Makindye are mourning the death of their own during the 2 successive COVID-19 waves. Under the organization of Kampala Parents of Children with Disabilities Association in Makindye, the women say lack of adequate treatment has affected the well-being of children with disabilities in the region.
Disability has its own psychosocial and moral challenges. So these parents and children need counseling. They need physiotherapy.
27 children with disabilities have reportedly died in Makindye Division due to lack of access to essential medical care during the last COVID-19 lockdowns.
Fail partners. These lives that were lost cannot be accounted for if we do not do the right things. But most of these issues were in access to transport, in access to find areas of medical attention.
The chairperson, Kampala Parents of Children with Disabilities, Eva Kagona, says the disability family is so fragile and many of them are accustomed to making round visits to health centers.
CBOs that support children with disability should be included among the institutions of essential workers.
Nalongo Birawa Mary is a resident of Masaja Parish who is one of the parents who has had such a bad experience of 2 lockdowns. Accessing hospital for her ailing daughter with disabilities was not easy.
Bagenda mutuuse kiruddu ng'omwana yeesika ebyaddala nga yeesikira ddala ekiddu abasawo ne batugamba fe oyo omwana wano ekiddu tetukola ku baana ba myaka 10 mumutwale emulago nga tetulina na transport ssaawa eyo ne batugamba tufuna ambulance yebeetutwalawo ku ddwaliro naye nga ne ssente ze batusebeza ambulance tetuziyina.
Sebwato Frank, 19 years, studying in P4 at Mengo School for Disability, is another child from Makindye Division. He was unable to access physiotherapy treatment during the lockdown. His condition worsened.
Siri musanyufu nnyo olw'ensonga nti lockdown yajja abaana baffe bano abaliko obulemu ne batuula ewaka tebakyafuna basawo kati ono ye kusomera afunirayo abasawo abamukola exercise naye kati omuggalo okuva lwe gwajja ali waka.
Members of Kampala Parents of Children with Disabilities Association, Makindye, expressed dismay over the lack of special consideration to their plight.
Continue to face a number of challenges in terms of access to these education materials. The children with hearing, speech and sight empowerment have not benefited from these services because the print is not only too small in front but also not blurred.
My disability is that I can't walk, and that happened last year, 2020. The effect of the lockdown are severe, although the intention was for good. Sexual abuse. Some of our peers with disability, especially the girls, have been sexually abused by shameless old men and boys who take advantage of their disability.
At least 293 had applied to access the COVID-19 lockdown relief fund, but less than 20 families were considered.
All right, UBC News Tonight. Now, we currently do have the RDC of Masaka, Fred Bamwene, live on Zoom. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir, and welcome to UBC News Tonight. All right, our connection is not very clear, but we'll get back to the RDC of Masaka, Fred Bamwene, who will be giving us an update on what is happening in Masaka sub-region. But moving on, Kampala Capital City Authority plans to relocate waste disposal from Chitezi to Dundu, about 36 kilometers from the city. Now, the authority's manager for waste and sanitation, Jude Byansiziwa, says Chitezi has outlived its duration of 10 years. Now, State Minister for Kampala, Kabiye Chofa, however, wants the plastic dealers to embrace environmental sustainability. Take a look.
It is a city characterized by progress, development, but also retardation. Progress is seen in ongoing projects, development in already established city ventures, and retardation in challenges associated with urban development. Poor waste management is one of them, with plastics seen littered almost everywhere, as evidenced in Gogonya zone of Nsambia, a suburb of Kampala. Overcoming such waste management challenges is the reason why Ministry for Kampala and Metropolitan Affairs is on the front line.
I urge you to always promote the 3 R's which guide your product, your industry. Reduce, reuse, and recycle.
This meeting with plastic manufacturers and recyclers, held at the office of the President on Saturday, was meant to find a lasting remedy.
We used to have those litter dustbin in Kampala. Timatha Avenue could find around 3, but now we can move without any.
They can create satellite green neighborhoods.
According to Kampala Capital City Authority, at least 60% of people in Uganda's capital city live in informal settlements. This makes irresponsible littering of plastic waste a part of life in these establishments.
The truth of the matter is that 43% of our waste can rot off. Is biodegradable. It can be used by them as a source to make a briquettes. Plastics are just 6%.
Section 76 of the National Environment Management Act of 2019 prohibits importation, exportation, manufacture and use of plastics, except above 30 microns.
In Uganda and in East Africa, this thing was too hot in the past years. When it came to Uganda, of course, some people would hear them on the street, Kavera is bad, plastic is bad. But then they forgot there were already measures taken to manage these plastics in accordance with their environment management.
We have complaints of flooding where we look at plastics being the major contributors of flooding. Yes, it is true, but then we also have a problem where most of the illegal dump sites have been put near those drainage channels.
To overcome some of these shortcomings, Kampala Capital City Authority has moved to relocate waste disposal from Kitezi to Dundu.
Dundu is not going to be a landfill, just a typical normal landfill. We want it to be a place whereby we are putting value on waste and it becomes a resource. Who among us will live for the next 400 years? Luka Plastic, can you live for the next 400 years? You can't. But the plastic you produced, the pipe, the water pipe you produced, can stay underground for the next 400 what? Can we think about it? Can we sustainably coexist with our environment?
When this is done, government will achieve its objectives of reducing pollution and improving environmental quality in Uganda's capital city, Kampala. Henry Okurut, UBC.
And now back to our main story of the day, where police and other security officers have been deployed in Masaka following the continued murders of residents. Now suspected welding machete thugs have hacked 2 people today, which brings up the total to 23. Now online we do have the RDC of Masaka, Fred Bamwine, who is here to give us an update on what's happening in the Masaka sub-region. Good evening, sir. Welcome to UBC News Tonight. Good evening, sir. Welcome to UBC News Tonight. All right, we have a little bit of a connection problem, but we will be definitely getting back to him. Is the RDC online? Good evening, Mr. Fred Bamwine. All right, he's online. Now, sir, 23 people have been killed in Masaka and Ugandans are scared. What are the steps that you have taken to stop this? And how is security prepared to deal with this particular situation? Head of security in Masaka, Fred Bamwine, says so far 38 suspected gang members with key suspects in the murders are already nabbed and the hunt is still on. Now, Fred Bamwine says that they have provided free lines in every sub-county for timely calls to security. Now, at least 250 leaders have been mobilized to coordinate the hunt for the criminals and mobilizing residents in case of any attack. Now, the area that has been affected is Kabonero area, and President Yoweri Museveni has given 10 million Uganda shillings as a contribution to each family that has lost a family member. Now, the area RDC, Fred Bamwine, is advising communities in Masaka to report any suspicious person, making an alarm also in case of any attack, and advise population to be cooperative. Bamwine says they have capacity to respond in less than 10 minutes in case of any alarm. Now, we will be getting back to that interview in a little bit, but Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom has offered financial support towards tourism promotion in the area. Now, the kingdom's Deputy Premier John Apollo Ramparo confirmed the development at an event where the kingdom hosted 12 Miss Tourism Bunyoro 2021 pageant, and Ramparo said the kingdom is committed to supporting events that promote and expose Bunyoro culture to the world. Take a look.
Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom has offered financial support towards tourism promotion in the area. The kingdom's Deputy Premier John Apollo Ramparo confirmed the development at an event where the kingdom hosted 12 Miss Tourism Bunyoro 2021 pageant. Ramparo said the kingdom is committed to supporting events that promote and expose Bunyoro culture to the world. He appreciated the contestants for using culture to promote tourism, pledging the cultural institution in support to the sector. The Kingdom's Minister for External Relations, Philip Katohoire, urged the youth to appreciate in events that promote Bunyoro Kingdom's wealthy endowments. One of the contestants, identified as Kabasambo, requested Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom to work with stakeholders and establish a tourism board to promote tourism.
Tourism is very expensive and it is a chain. You can't handle it alone. You have to work as a team.
The best 3 contenders will represent Bunyoro at Uganda's Miss Tourism Contest, slated for Sunday, August 30th, 2021 in Masaka.
Now, government has been asked to support Namaingo District in teacher recruitment. The Deputy District Education Officer, Namaingo District, Makali Vicent, was on tour of Iceland education projects in Namaingo District.
Namaingo District is one of the districts that performed relatively poorly in the just concluded primary leaving examinations. Being a fishing community and hard-to-reach area, Namaingo has got a number of hindrances which attribute to poor grades. The District Deputy Education Officer, Makali Vicent, says the most challenging part is the inadequacy of teachers in the district, with only 84 government-aided schools, 5,611 pupils, among 764 teachers only.
So we need more teachers, and we request the government to increase our wage bill, so that more teachers can be recruited, and then schools have at least a ratio to one teacher to about 55 learners.
The District Health Officer, James Wandera, attributes the high levels of school dropouts to inadequate accommodation for both teachers and learners, making it hard for the learners to attain quality education. Makali is hopeful that with the construction of new administration blocks in the different sub-counties, a big number of learners will be catered for.
We have a challenge of children dropping out, going fishing, early marriages, because the schools are not there, and they were also lack of accommodations of those children. So this Iceland program, when it came in board, it gave us now strength to see that the classrooms that are being constructed will accommodate as many children in the district.
The resident district commissioner, Captain Yahaya Kakoza, urges the general public to maintain peace in the country because it's the only way to attract donors who contribute to the country's development.
Comes as a result of good governance. It was as a result of the NRM good governance that the Republic of Iceland decided to work with this government to have this. The Republic of Iceland cannot put such projects in Afghanistan. It is because there is peace here that this development is coming. But we are grateful that everything that they funded is happening as per plan.
According to the district engineer Kira Godfrey, construction of the 4 blocks will be completed by December 2021.
These construction works are now on roofing stage. Some are on roofing, some are on finishes, and we are expecting these projects to be completed by December this year.
And I really want to appreciate so far the work that is being done. According to the first site that we have already viewed, this is the district education block. The work is moving on well and they are doing a good work.
I am Mary Namkose for UBC News.
Thank you, Mary. Now, government has assured compensation to people staying near the wildlife protected areas whose lives and property were destroyed by wild animals. Now, this was during the launch of a Center of Excellence in the Wildlife Research and Training and the 10th graduation of Uganda Wildlife Research and Training Institute, that's Katwe Kabatoro Town Council in Kasese District. The Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Colonel Tom Butime, officiated the event.
I announced that this foundation stone has now been laid.
The Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Kano Tombutime, has appealed to all leaders in Kasese district to embrace the Uganda wildlife research and training initiatives set up in the area.
You're going to have a lot of people coming to work here. A lot of people coming to work here. Professors will come and do research here. The international academia, academicians will come here and do research. So there is quite a lot that you're going to benefit as a town council. So I ask you to embrace it, isn't it? Because it's very, very important for you.
The chairperson Katwe Kabatoro Town Council, John Bosco Kananura, wants government to compensate residents whose gardens are damaged and those that have lost their lives to marauding animals.
I therefore wish to request Honourable Minister that an amendment to the current UA Act be done to consider persons living in a sanctuary and the affected families in case there is loss of life, injury and damaged property.
Anybody whose crops, anybody whose life has been affected by wildlife is entitled to compensation.
The principal, Uganda Wildlife Research and Training Institute, Robert Baluku, says they still need 27 billion shillings for construction of the facility.
I call upon all concerned players in the industry to take interest in this development, to close this funding gap as we commence on the construction process.
Uganda Wildlife Research and Training Institute will be transformed into a center of excellence in wildlife research and training after all facilities have been put in place.
Right now, UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we will return with more stories. Don't move an inch.
I smile when I think of you, Uganda, my home. My home, I dance when I look at you, Uganda, my home. Oh, my Uganda.
I know, with you I'll always stay forever. I know, because I feel that we belong together. My home. On my heart, mommy, oh my Uganda.
Hey mama,
my Uganda.
Oh,
my Uganda.
Oh,
my Uganda. My Uganda. Nigokone. My Uganda. Amari, alemira. My Uganda.
At MTN, we look forward to starting another exciting journey together to grow our home, Uganda.
Five times the winning, yeah. 5 times the happiness, yeah. 5 times the luckiness, yeah. 5 for 5, oh yeah. It's 5 for 5. 5 for 5. 5 times the money, yeah. 5 times the shopping, yeah. 5 times the prizes, yeah. 5 for 5, oh yeah. It's 5 for 5. 5 for 5.
Win 100,000 Uganda shillings weekly in the 5 for 5 jackpot. Simply download the Center mobile app. Click Center on the go to open your account online. Transact 5 times or more using Center mobile, Center Visa, and Center agent to stand a chance to win. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. So, participate in the 5 for 5 jackpot and win millions in daily and weekly prizes. The 5 for 5 jackpot is brought to you by Centenary Bank. Our bank. Centenary Bank, is regulated by the Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Well, welcome back from that commercial break, and thank you so much for watching UBC News Tonight. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto and Mugalu Mohammed on Sign Language. Now we get back to our headlining story of the day, whereby police and other security operatives have been deployed heavily in Masaka sub-region, of course, following the murders that have been happening in that particular region. Now we have online the resident district commissioner of Masaka, Fred Bamwine, who's here, of course, to talk to us about the situation that is in Masaka. Good evening, sir, and welcome to UBC News Tonight.
Thank you so much, UBC. I'm happy to be part of UBC, and I want to inform the country that in Masaka we have had a spate of insecurity which has claimed some lives of people. About 20 people have died in just 1 month, and others have gone with injuries. But since that time, we have organized ourselves. We have managed to track these criminals. And the good news is that some of the key suspects have already been apprehended, although there are still others at large. We have so far reduced the murders, and our intention is to stop the murders. Secondly, is to pick those who have been involved in causing this mayhem and make sure that they are brought to book. Then the third issue has been to engage the communities, and I'm happy to report that we have partnered with the Pokin of Voodoo, that is the representative of the Kabaka and the Katiki in Voodoo, and we have launched what they call Gwanga Muje, making an alarm for everybody, and it has resulted into a lot of yields. Like today's suspect was apprehended by the community for being security vigilant. And today we launched a security mobilization. We met to about 280 leaders from LC1 up to the city, and the members of parliament were present, and we have all voted to make sure that Masaka is made secure. Therefore, I want to appeal to the public to continue cooperating with security agencies. We have got enough security personnel, both uniformed and civilian, enough motorized logistics, and we have dominated the entire place. And we have set ourselves a target that now any incident can be responded in less than 10 minutes. We are in the crime of scene. We want to appeal to the public that if there is any incident, please do not tamper with the crime of scene. Stay away about maybe 20 meters, such that the investigators can pick the leads. Because there are still some criminals, you may have these criminals, but once you stampede the crime of scene, you may tamper with evidence which could help us to pin these criminals to the crime of scene that has happened. These murders have been targeting the vulnerable people, that is the elderly, the casual laborers, the drunkards. The other day they killed a mad person. So, and the intention, I think, much as we cannot diverge much, but the intention, I think, was to send fear to the public, to cause hatred to the government, and maybe to show to the world that there is no security in Uganda. But I'm happy to report that as we speak today, we are coming on top of the situation, although there are some murders who are still at large, but at least we are putting them in the corner day by day, and at least every day we pick one of the key criminal suspects. So we are sure that in the shortest possible time, this situation will be done away with.
All right, Mr. Fred Bramwine, you have talked about security being deployed. How prepared are they to deal with this situation now that these cases are still increasing?
No, when we started this security deployment, first of all, we have refused to act in panic. We have taken our time to organize ourselves in terms of logistics, in terms of intelligence. So we are not acting in panic, I think, which was their intention. They have not achieved it. Secondly, when we started this program, they were murdering maybe 5 people per day. But now we have gone almost to 2 or 1. And our intention is to make sure that we stop any kind of murder. 2, when we started, of course, we didn't have any suspect. We are talking of about 38 suspects we have in our custody. And even key suspects. And also, we have some good leads of those who have participated, but those ones cannot be disclosed now because we are in a war situation. Until we have finished picking all the key suspects, we shall inform the public and the world of what has been happening, who has been murdering people, maybe what was the intention, and who could have been the sponsors. So we are more than ready, because that's why I'm telling you that the deployments have been done in terms of physical human personnel in uniform and non-uniform. Then also motorized patrols are also on the ground. And we are getting good cooperation from the public. The public is very vigilant, and we have launched many campaigns now, registering residents, making sure that the visitors are also recorded and registered, making sure that that we have weekly village council meetings for the meantime until the situation has normalized. So we are systematic, and we are not leaving any stone unturned.
You have talked about 38 people being arrested. Now, is there by any chance that you could be holding the wrong people? Because even today we had 2 people murdered.
No, today, that you are talking of last night. Actually, these murders have been happening between 8 in the evening to 10 o'clock at night. Apart from last night, an incident that happened in Lorengo, it is the one which happened deep in the night, like at 2 a.m. But all the other previous murders have been happening earlier. So today, the whole of today, during the day, by the way, we have not registered any murder during the day. But of course, there is a lot of anxiety in the public, and at times, some rumors are spread when actually there is nobody that has been killed. But from where we have come from, to where we have reached, there is a huge progress, and there is confidence in the population that we are about to be on top of the situation.
All right, Mr. Fred Bramwine, how much information do you know about these criminals? Because looking at the different stories, they're not stealing anything from the victims. They're only killing, and mostly they're killing the old and children.
Yeah, as I have told you, that among the suspects we actually have some of those who participated in the actual killing. But as I told you, we are not at liberty at this stage to say anything beyond what I have said. Time is going to reach when we shall parade the suspects to the public, and when we shall reveal every information. But since we are still training some people, since we are still having some clues to these murderers, I beg the public to be patient. We shall give them full story when we have finished picking everybody that is participating in these matters.
Okay, Mr. RDC Fred Bamwine, what mechanisms have you put in place for easy response?
A lot of mechanisms have been put in place. One, we have put toll-free lines at every parish and every sub-county that have been attacked for the public to call at any time. We have also acquired motorized patrols, both motorcycles and vehicles. We have deployed in black spots, and that's why we have given ourselves that an incident should not last more than 10 minutes when we have not reached in the place. Then also we have engaged the community leadership. You know, when we're talking about security, you must address foundation security. And foundation security is when you have involved the community, the leaders. Today, the word of today, we have been meeting all the leaders of the division of Chimanya Kabonera, members of parliament, the mayor and the technical team, the chairperson of the division and the councillors and the LCs 1, 2, 3, all of them, we have met them and we have guided them on the tips on how they can report these kind of suspected criminals, how they can identify the black spots, how they can identify vulnerable people and let us know. So really, as in terms of preparation, I think we have really organized ourselves and also enforcing curfew. In the past, there was a lot of argument about enforcing curfew, but at least by 7 now, everybody has gone home. So that means anybody walking past 7 is treated with a questioning eye. But really, we have prepared adequately ourselves.
Okay, any last message to the public about this particular situation?
Yes, there are about 3 messages I want to pass to the public. One, it is true we have lost our dear ones and we send our sincere sympathies to these families. And the president has decided to condole with the families who have lost their dear ones with 10 million shillings per family, those who lost their dear ones. But as much as we are in sympathy with those who lost their dear ones, we are appealing to the public not to panic. What is important, use the resources we have given you, the telephone numbers, the leadership, the security personnel that are on the ground, so that you can give us timely information. 2, want to appeal to you, we have organized every village, zoned 10 houses nearing each other to be monitors for their neighborhood, what we call neighborhood watch of every 10 houses. Therefore, when you hear an alarm in the neighborhood, please do not confine yourself in your own house. Make an alarm because these thugs are also not sophisticated. We shall flash them and also cage them wherever they could be. 3, as we continue to pacify Masaka, this should not stop. Vigilance of the community should continue, and please cooperate with security forces. These security forces have come to help you. Don't deny information from them. If you know any kind of information, even if you pass it in confidence without divulging your name, we shall take it in confidence, so that at the end of the day, we do 3 things. 1, by picking those suspected criminals. 2, making sure we align them to court and pin them to the crime. 3, making sure that the society becomes vigilant and responsible and security conscious. That's the only way we can sustain security within our region.
All right, Fred Bamwine, the Resident District Commissioner, Masaka region. Thank you so much for speaking to us about the situation in the Masaka sub-region. All right, now moving on. All right, thank you. Now, Uganda Airlines is set to commence long-haul commercial operations in October this year. Now, the airline plans to fly from Dubai in the UAE and London using the recently acquired A330-800 Neo aircraft from Airbus. Now, Jennifer Bamuturaki, the airline CEO, revealed this at the sidelines of the celebrations to mark 2 years of commercial operations in the airline in Entebbe.
Uganda Airlines is celebrating 2 years of commercial operations. The airline now operates flights to 10 destinations on the African continent using a fleet of 4 Sierra J900 jetliners from Bombardier. With the clearance of the recently acquired A330-800 neo aircraft to fly long haul by the regulator Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, more routes are set to be added onto their chart. During an exclusive interview with UBC TV, Uganda Airlines acting CEO Jennifer Wamturaki revealed that most of their plans as stipulated in the business plan have been greatly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Just when we were really going up, peaking, we had launched about 7 routes, I think, and the numbers were coming in. People were beginning to understand our product, our routes, our schedules. Then, boom, COVID. And it was global, so we had to literally shut down, airports shut down and all. So it was very brutal. So the coming back was very slow because we could not come back full throttle. On some of the routes, we'd grown the schedules to 3 times a day. On Juba, Nairobi, we had introduced holiday destinations, Zanzibar, Mombasa. So a lot of decisions had to be made to combine some of the routes, to make it not profitable as such, but to make it operational in a sense that you don't lose much more.
She adds that they are now focusing on repositioning themselves to compete favorably in the new normal.
We now have to look at our costs. There's one thing to make money and stay afloat, but there's another thing to manage your costs. Because we're in the startup process, it's very easy for you to say, this is part of startup. But now we are going into, let's watch our costs. What can we renegotiate? What contracts can we look at and go back and renegotiate them so that we have an optimum kind of operational rate or something?
Uganda Airlines recently received an inclusion certificate of the Airbus on the existing air operator certificate. This will now herald the rolling out of long-haul operations.
So we are not just waiting that, okay, let's wait for the red list. There are things we are doing in the background to make sure that when that red list is opened, we will be ready to go. So for now, our tentative date for Dubai is October the 3rd. Depending on how soon, usually for selling and marketing, you need at least 2 to 3 months. And by the way, for all these long-haul flights, we should have started selling and advertising a year ago. It's that those markets are very advanced. So chances are we'll come back with a new date, especially for London, China, Mumbai. We'll probably come with dates that are a little bit far, so that it can give us a chance not to fly the Airbus in there empty, but to have people. Yeah.
To further strengthen the airline's revenue streams, the national carrier also has plans of prioritizing the handling services. To mark 2 years, the airline staff, including the pilots, cabin crew and others, took time off to engage in corporate social responsibility activities at the Uganda Wildlife Education Center in Entebbe. Samuel Sendono, UBC News.
Echa COVID-19 kijja kuggwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
Welcome back from the break, and now into sports. Uganda's David Emong has won a bronze medal in the men's 1,500 meter race in the T46 sport class in the ongoing Para Games in Tokyo. Other para athletes who are yet to compete are Rita Asimwe for badminton. Para swimmer Hoshna Kokundakwe, who is in class S8, will be competing in 100 meter freestyle. Athlete Peace Oroma also in Class T13 will be running 400 kilometers and 800 kilometers respectively. In 2017, para-athlete David Emong, competing under the T46 category, won gold at the World Paralympics that climaxed in London. He made history after outclassing Algeria's Samir, who was defending champion then. The British school Kampala Althonia Swimming League has entered its third edition, with action hosted at British School Kampala in Muyenga. Now, this first year ever commercialized league, 2 teams, Altona and Coates, compete weekly with every achievement, including new records, to be rewarded by a cash prize. The tournament is now grown in leaps and bounds, as explained by one of the organizers, Eric Chisero.
We are happy that we are back after 42 days of the lockdown, actually 54 days of the lockdown. It was a bit tough because these athletes were expecting lots of PBs and they weren't able to do it. But as we speak now, we had the start of the third edition, and we started with the butterfly match. We're happy that we were able to see one of the athletes break the league record, which was set a few months ago. So that shows you that the objective of the league, seeing that these athletes are able to move on to the next level time to time, is moving on very well. We're in the third edition out of the 9th edition, and we are expecting to see lots and lots of other athletes joining in, because now we have a total of 45 athletes, which is very good compared to the start.
Right now, Sports Club Villa's plans for a better future have been halted by a court injunction that has stopped the club's election. Now, this has officially been communicated by the club's Electoral Commission chairperson, Robert Chigundu.
Sports Club Villa faithful turned up early to elect the club's president at Speak Hotel in Kampala. But rather bizarrely, the rather peaceful election took a twist for the worse when the club's Electoral Commission chairperson Robert Chigundu announced stop of the process. This was because of a court injunction filed by Nambalirwa Brenda Kauma in the Civil Division of the High Court of Uganda at Kampala. Nambalirwa served the registered trustees of Villa Membership Trust, who in turn, through one of their members, Umar Mandela, communicated to the club's Electoral Commission.
You may have heard this morning that there was a court order stopping elections. Personally, I hadn't been served with that court order or any letter instructing me to stop elections. About 5 minutes ago, one of the trustees of Sports Club Villa, Haj Umar Mandela, has brought a letter from the registered trustees of Villa Members Trust asking me or directing me to stop elections immediately. And I'll read it verbatim. The registered trustees of Villa Members Trust, the chairman, Villa Electoral Committee, attention Mr. Robert Chigundu. Dear sir, interim order stopping elections. We have been served with a court order stopping the elections. We hereby direct you to stop the elections forthwith. The trustees will be communicating a way forward in due course. That letter is very clear that I should stop the elections. And as the chairman of the electoral committee, I obey the order from the trustees, and have immediately stopped the elections on site.
After the announcement, with many locked out, a dark cloud hovered, but this didn't deter the fans' enthusiasm. The Villa election to get the 8th president was between Dennis Mbide Sebugwao and Medard Lubega Segona. John Barnes, Sentamo, reporting.
Right now, UBC News Tonight has come to an end, but before we leave base, let's first take a look at tonight's headlines. And in our headlines tonight, 23 people massacred in Masaka in 1 month. Former Tanzanian President Jakaya Kikwete visits Agaliawamu in Zimbabwe. Bethel Church in Nebi accommodates only 3 people at a time. And in sports, Emong wins bronze men's 1,500 meters in Paralympics. Thank you once again for being part of UBC News Tonight. We do enjoy your company. We leave you with our weather forecast for tomorrow with Alex Kim Sempa, I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto, and Mohammed Mugalu on sign language. We wish you a good night.
A very warm welcome. It is time for the weather forecast from the Weather Center with Sempa Alex Kim. This morning, we woke up to reduced visibility because of haze, which happened because of dry winds coming in across Kalahari Desert, blowing dust particles into a region which then form the haze. Otherwise, the rain belt is quite to the north away from our country, but parts of the northern are receiving some light isolated rainfall.